So I know this guy, he wrote a book in his expertise and field of work. He's got a PhD in something, and then he has a master's in something else, which kind of sort of relates to his. It actually does relate quite well. But anyways, it's he wrote a book, and one day he showed me a letter. This is probably about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Anyways, he showed me a letter showing where a well-known college that has foreigners that come to the U.S. just for this college to study in this particular field, and they were asking for permission to use his book in their curriculum. So very smart guy. He just lacked the knowledge whenever you leave city limits. Let's just say that. He's not knowledgeable enough on how to split firewood, septic tanks, wells, solar power, windmill power, and things of such nature. So I've known this guy for a long time. But anyways, I used to take him fishing because that was one thing that he always wanted to do, but his upbringing and lifestyle didn't allow him, I guess. But he's kept in touch, man. It's been forever. But anyways, he knew that I'd moved out into the country, and he didn't know that I was off the grid though. But anyways, he calls me up saying that he wanted to go off the grid. He said he bought some land out in the country, and he wanted me to come help him out, show him how it's done. And well, he hadn't bought it yet, but he was thinking about it. And he was asking me if I would come up there and show him how it's done. And I was like, well, before you buy it, come visit me, because I'm kind of off the grid right now. You know, I'm like 1/8 of a mile from the nearest road. But so he comes and visits me, and I actually have to go meet him at the store because GPS kind of drops out when you're near my driveway. And it doesn't tell you to make a U-turn until you're, past my driveway. And then you'll go past my driveway again, then GPS will tell you to make another U-turn. So it zigzags back and forth. But anyways, so I went and met him at the store, and he came out here. He looked at the solar panels, the windmill, everything I got makes power. And he wanted to see my battery supply for nighttime. My battery setup is not for just a night. It's set up for like 3-4 days. I go with no sunshine, no sunshine, no wind. And after about 3 or 4 days, I'll have to crank the generator. That's normally how it works. But he came out here, he looked, and I had a sign on the door. I got one shed, and in this shed is where I have all of my power set up. Being off the grid like this, you are the electric company out here. So it's like, if I lose power, I can't call the electric company and say, hey, come fix my shit. I have to get my ass out here, whether it's cold, raining, storming, whatever, and figure out why. But that's the downside to being out here like this. But he's looking at the door, the entryway to this shed, because I got 2 sheds. One I store tools in, and the other one I store my power stuff in. So he looks at the sign, you know, he sees a danger sign. You know, I got like a little danger sign right there. Where is that? Right there. And I had a sign next to it that said, warning 15 kW, keep out. Because if you don't know what you're doing in there, you can kill yourself on accident. Literally, no joke. Yeah. And the signs is to warn people, don't go in there. Well, he was looking at the sign and he's like, how many people know what 15 kW stands for? And I'm like, I don't know. So anyways, I took a few months to take a survey of some average people that I know nothing about electricity. There's this one guy, he was an electrician. I jokingly asked him, and he didn't know what 15 kW was. He said the only thing he knew was 220 volts, 110, and he was very good at running conduit and pulling wire. And he didn't go anything above 220 volts, but he never gave me an amperage. So I had to find a way to scare people from even wanting to go in there. So on my survey, I also asked, what is amps? Most people didn't know, except for the one guy that's good at pulling conduit and wire. I asked people what watts were. Now, a lot of people knew about watts and stereo systems, but they didn't know the actual ability of the watts. They knew more watts was the bigger the amp and the louder it was going to be. And that's about all they could tell me. Other than that, people were slim on knowing what watts were. So I was like, volts. Do you know what volts is? And everybody knew what volts was, and they knew they weren't going to mess with it. Why am I getting an alert for a camera on my phone now when I don't see shit? Oh, damn, it's a deer. And a fat black cat. How do a deer and a cat walk up at the same time? Anyways, I wonder whose cat that is. Anyways, so people know what volts are, and those who don't deal with electricity know not to mess with it. They don't even know how many volts is in a wall outlet that they plug their hairdryer into, or their stereo, or their TV, or whatever, PlayStation, you know, whatever. They don't even know how many volts that is, but they know that volts is dangerous and it can kill you. So I started asking, you know, which brought me to the question of how many volts will scare you. And I got everything from 5 volts to 10,000 volts is what was the answers I got for different voltages that would scare different people. Anyways, so 10,000 was the highest one I got, and that was from the guy that was good at pulling wires and conduit. So I decided to go double that with 20,000. 20,000 volts. Right there. 20,000. Caution, high voltage, 20,000 volts. Danger, do not enter. Why do I need a sign to scare off people from going into that shed and not wanting to go in there? Well, I don't believe that a danger, do not enter sign will work, because between here and the road that's about 1/8 of a mile away from me, there's about 15 no trespassing signs. These are the full signs that say posted, no trespassing, hunting, fishing, trapping, blah, 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 whatever. And they are the legal sign that people that know about it know, you know, that's the sign, the legal sign that people must abide by. And a lot of people miss it 15 times or don't understand it 15 times. And when I first moved out here, some of the previous owners' associates would come out here, even though there was 15 signs. And even last year I had two visitors. One of them was very unwelcome, and the other guy was out here with his wife, drunk, looking for Bigfoot. That's a whole nother story. But anyways, so people miss the signs 15 times to get back here. And I even have signs that say, beware of dog. I even have signs that say, you know, smile for the cameras, you know, or warning, area monitored by cameras and sound. And people still retarded. They're not paying attention to the sign, just like a gun-free zone. That's where mass shootings mostly happen at, is gun-free zones. But anyways, so I come up with the 20,000 volts to try and scare people, keep stupid people from going in there and accidentally killing themselves. Let me know what y'all think. Will it work? Or am I going to catch a lawsuit from some dipshit that can't pay attention to 15 no trespassing signs and the sign that says 20,000 volts? Anyways, hope y'all have a great day.